Does history's deepest betrayal sting most when it is committed not by an enemy, but by an intimate friend? 4 words, delivered in the moment of death, have enshrined this question forever in the canon of Western tragedy: et tu, Brute. This phrase, popularized by Shakespeare, is the enduring literary testament to the Ides of March, 44 BCE. It is the moment when the Roman Republic did not merely collapse under external pressure, but expired from a self-inflicted wound, transforming a political act into a timeless human drama. The setting was Rome, a city that had endured the turmoil of civil war, but was finally collapsing from within. For decades, the Roman Republic had traded its founding ideals for the rule of strong men, a desperate cycle of military glory replacing democratic governance. Julius Caesar was the culmination of this destructive trend. Having crossed the forbidden Rubicon and defeated his great rival Pompey, he returned to Rome not merely as a general, but as dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. His power was absolute, his image minted on coins, and his very refusal of a crown was perceived by many not as humility, but as a calculated performance of royal ambition. This accumulation of titles and honors, though voted by the Senate, was viewed by the Old Guard as an unforgivable violation of the sacred ideal of liberty.
The conspirators, a group of 60 or more senators, led by Cassius and the philosopher Marcus Junius Brutus, believed the answer must be a dramatic, purifying act of blood. They framed their assassination, conducted ironically within the Curia of Pompeii, not as murder, but as tyrannicide, a bloody sacrifice demanded to preserve the state. This singular, violent moment was instantly perceived not just as regicide, but as a profound philosophical experiment. Could the murder of a single man restore a decaying system? The 23 dagger thrusts, the victim's identity, and the tragic involvement of Brutus, Caesar's protege and perhaps illegitimate son, guaranteed its immediate transcription into canonical history. The classical historians ensured factual record, but it was the inherent moral conflict that cemented its place in enduring literature, a ready-made drama of profound moral contradiction, murder committed in the name of freedom. The conspirators, having spilled the blood they deemed necessary for liberty, severely misjudged the Roman populace. They anticipated cheers and the swift restoration of republican institutions. They received suspicion, confusion, and overwhelming fear. Their philosophical ideal, the restoration of the Republic, was immediately eclipsed by the raw, visceral reality of a great man's public murder. This sudden shift from high principle to street-level chaos is the essence that writers and artists have long seized upon to explore the limits of political action. The immediate historical records, such as those later compiled by Plutarch, chronicled not only the facts but the complex moral calculus of the men involved, ensuring their motives, both lofty and self-serving, were preserved for posterity. Yet, it was the ensuing public funeral that truly codified the event as a monumental tragedy and cemented its cultural transmission. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal lieutenant, masterfully converted the Senate's political act into a profound emotional grievance. Standing over Caesar's body, which was displayed with its 23 wounds, Antony delivered what is arguably the most famous speech of antiquity, masterfully recreated in literature by Shakespeare. Antony's dramatic oration did not rely on cold philosophical arguments. He appealed directly to the common soldier and the Roman citizen by utilizing the most powerful tool available to him, the emotional narrative of betrayal. He revealed Caesar's will, which bequeathed substantial gardens and sums of money to the Roman people, instantly transforming the tyrannicides into villains who had robbed the populace of their patron. The public reaction was swift and terrifying, manifesting as a mass demand for vengeance. The senators who had struck the fatal blow, Brutus and Cassius among them, were forced to flee Rome, their vision of a renewed republic dissolving into mob violence and arson. This great paradox of the Ides of March is precisely why the story endures. The action intended to halt autocracy merely accelerated it. By removing the primary ruler, the conspirators created a dangerous vacuum of power and plunged Rome back into a bloody cycle of civil war, a sequence that ultimately culminated in the rise of Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, who would become Augustus, Rome's first emperor. The literary legacy of this upheaval is crucial because it transforms the assassination from a clean political statement into a messy, human drama about unintended consequences and the volatile nature of the collective human heart. The blood of Caesar had bought not freedom, but the next dictator.
The tragedy, however, was not confined to Caesar alone. It rests equally on the shoulders of the self-proclaimed liberators, particularly Marcus Junius Brutus. Brutus, who lent his name to an archetype, believed he was committing a glorious, clean act, a necessary act of purification that would restore Rome's foundational principles. He saw himself as the ultimate embodiment of virtus and libertas, striking a blow against a creeping monarchy. Yet history and art have reserved a complex, often condemnatory space for him. He remains the ultimate conflicted figure, the man who chose the state's ideal over the life of his friend, a powerful motif that subsequent centuries have obsessively re-examined and depicted. This profound duality, traitor versus hero, is precisely the wellspring of the event's enduring cultural power. For the medieval mind, Brutus was a symbol of unforgivable treason. Dante Alighieri, in his Inferno, sealed Brutus's fate by placing him in the deepest, most agonizing pit of hell, alongside Cassius and Judas Iscariot, the three chief traitors perpetually consumed by Satan himself. Yet, during the Enlightenment and the Age of Revolution, the entire narrative inverted. Brutus was recanonized as the exemplar of Stoic Republican virtue, his severe, somber portrait inspiring figures from the American founding fathers to the French Jacobins, who saw his act as the noble defense of democracy against despotism. The historical facts remain static, but the moral lesson is perpetually fluid, allowing every era to claim the Ides of March as its own cautionary tale. The immediate consequence of the Ides of March was, ironically, the definitive termination of the republic the conspirators had sought to save. Their act of singular, focused violence merely cleared the field for the long, complex consolidation of power by Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, who would soon take the name Augustus. The age of absolute, centralized power was ushered in by the very assassination intended to prevent it. Thus, the enduring lesson of 44 BCE is profoundly unsettling. It perpetually questions the efficacy of ideological violence and forces us to confront the truth that sometimes the heroic act of defiance against a tyrant only paves the road for a more formidable and often far more permanent replacement. The story endures because it compels us to scrutinize the brutal difference between a noble intention and the ultimate, costly consequence.
This is the enduring inheritance of the Ides of March, a mirror held up to every political idealist, reflecting the brutal difference between intention and ultimate consequence.